If you want comfort, go read a cookbook. If you want transformation, welcome to the Strange Sculpting Podcast. I'm Don Strange. We kill excuses, prioritize protein, and build discipline. Let's get to work.
What an intro. By the way, it sounds like the music is too loud. I kind of want to do the Rocky theme in there, but I did it in one of my podcasts, and I got a cease and desist. Apparently, Stallone was threatened by my masculinity, I guess.
Yes, that's true.
Today, by the way, Corey, I don't like to date this, but I'm going to date it anyway. It's January the 3rd, 2026. I can't believe it. I'm 26 years old. I wish. But what is that? Every year, what do we got? We got New Year's resolutions. New Year's resolutions. And why didn't New Year's resolutions fail? Because they lack structure. And the 40-day fix, I'm going to talk from this book today. I love reading from this book. It's a brand new book. It's very hard because the screen's mirrored. So it's like, where do I put the book? 40-day fix. This book is the answer to the resolutions.
You can scan this code.
Thank you, Corey. I appreciate that. I forgot about that. Also, before we even start, if this podcast or this video helps you, please reshare it with people. We want to get the word out. We want to get as many people as we can disciplined to get their body in the best shape of their life here. This is the year of the fix. 40-day fix at 26. The year of the big fix. Anyway, January is a time when people promise to change without changing their structure. It happens every year. And I know this, Corey, I've made plenty of promises to myself and then they got derailed. I didn't do them. And whenever you make a promise to yourself and then you don't follow through, it doesn't lead to self-esteem, makes you feel bad about yourself. And we want to get rid of that root. And today we're gonna talk about that. But resolutions are literally this. They're emotions plus hope, minus action. And there's nothing wrong with hope. Hope, the Bible even says, hope deferred makes the heart sick. But without action, it's just the beginning of delusion. And I think that's where dreams turn into insanity. Actually, I don't know that. I do know that. I am a dreamer. And so sometimes I tell my wife a lot in the past that I've been optimistic delusional in the past. But that's the reason why whenever I wrote this book, I wrote it with my pastor tells me all the time, and I used to call him, I'm Pastor David Crank, what a great guy. But when I call him or I text him, I'd send him a message. I'm very wordy. Corey, you know that. But I would go around the mountain to get to the point. I'm going to give you an analogy. I'm going to give you a visual. I'm going to give you a quote. I'm going to give you a story. I'm going to forget what I'm talking about halfway through. And then finally, like I'm talking about right now, finally I'm going to get to the point. But my pastor said, he'd say all the time, he'd say, Don, he'd send me a message back. Fastest point to enlightenment. I just ask you one question. And it would be, Corey, literally, whenever I'd send him a message, it'd be like 3 minutes. I said, I know he's not going to listen to any of this. I got to record it. And I'd record it again. Fastest point to enlightenment. And so this book, even though it's 250 pages, it's 250 pages of the fastest point to enlightenment. And you know how hard that is for me because I enjoy talking. Anyway, Corey, you've done things way harder than the 40-day fix. It's not because you're special. It's because he's already trained in the art of discipline. But today, before we even start, I'm not going to go to you yet, Corey. So you just have to hear me talk more. I love hearing myself talk. But I'm going to read a passage from this book. I love this book. I'm going to read chapter 3, and it's The Chain of Destiny. The chain that determines your destiny. And if wherever you find yourself in life, you can trace back why you're there based upon this chain of destiny. It's on page 16 of the book, if you're reading along. But here's the truth most people never stop to think about. Words lead to thoughts. Thoughts lead to emotions. Emotions lead to decisions. Decisions lead to actions. Actions lead to habits. Habits lead to character, and character leads to destiny. If I were you, this is not in the book, I would memorize that. Corey, I'd memorize that if I were you as well. It's brilliant. Sounds simple, but let's break it down. Words lead to thoughts. Everything you think started with a word. You don't just come up with thoughts. They're sparked by words you've heard, read, or repeated to yourself. Garbage words equals garbage thoughts. Powerful words equals powerful thoughts. Let's zoom out a little. Words don't just come from books or conversations. They flow through your five senses. A picture is worth 1,000 words. What are you looking at? What are you listening to? Words come in many forms, and if those forms keep dragging you toward bad thoughts, stop. Thoughts lead to emotion. Thoughts don't stay neutral. They create feelings. Think long enough about failure, rejection, or fear, and feel it in your chest. Think about victory, progress, or gratitude, and your emotions will rise to the match. Emotions lead to decisions. That's not weakness, that's wiring. Every action starts with thought. That thought creates a feeling, and that feeling pushes you to move. The guy who swears he's not emotional isn't logical, he's disconnected. He's still driven by emotion, usually everyone else's. Deny the role emotions play, and your choices will always be crooked. Accept it, master it, and your decisions will finally start making sense. Decisions lead to actions. What you decide becomes what you do. Good decisions equals right actions. Bad decisions equals regret. Actions lead to habits. Do something once, it's an action. Do something over and over again, it becomes a habit. This is where real transformation happens. When right actions get repeated, they're automatic. Habits lead to character. Your habits carve out who you really are. You're not who you say you are. You're who you are. What you repeatedly do. Character leads to destiny. Who you are consistently determines where you end up. Destiny isn't an accident. It's built brick by brick through this chain. If you don't like your life, stop crying, trace the chain backwards, fix the weak link. Excuses don't survive this formula. Okay, Corey. New Year's resolutions don't start typically with a destiny in mind. They're typically an emotion, mainly because everybody does it. Everybody at the beginning of the year, they say, "Hey, I'm going to do a New Year's resolution," because everybody does, and they're motivated. But motivation doesn't last because it's typically a very weak soil, and so because it's a feeling based, like, man, I'm going to do it this year. I'm going to do it this year, but the feelings come and go. If they're not rooted and grounded in good thoughts, which I talk about in the chain of destiny, they don't lead to the destiny you want. But question, Corey.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, I'm going to show you this picture, Corey. I love showing this picture. It actually makes me feel bad about myself. Makes everybody feel bad about themselves. This is Corey's before and after. And so obviously he's done things that most people haven't. He's shredded to the gills there. That was his stage shot in the after. That was before. But obviously he's a competitor. Now you see it. So he's done things that are way more difficult for you to fix and stay consistent a long period of time. I think you started I think we talked about this before. We talked about it 100 times, but I think you started in October, November, and the show was in April. We gained a lot of weight, and then we shredded you down. But whenever you did this prep, and listen, I'm going to say this too. The 40-day fix isn't about show prep. I'm just showing you that 40 days is not very long compared to what Corey did. And so this is for everybody. But the blueprint in this book is basically the same discipline that Corey did, except a longer period of time. But I got a question, Corey. In show prep, did you ever ask yourself how motivated you were? And how motivated were you really as far as the feeling? Did you go by the feelings, or what did you do?
No, I mean, so there were definitely times where I asked myself, like, why am I doing this? Like, this is just, it is hard, right? And it's like, why am I putting myself through this? Like, what is the point? For me, it's always a personal, it is a goal, right? And so it's something that I feel like I can do to keep myself in line, right? It's because no matter what you do in life, you can fall off track. Okay, whether it's something to do with your job, whether it's your fitness, your diet, whatever that is, you can do something to fall off track, and then you can continue to veer farther and farther off track. And so for me, doing these shows, and I've done 3 over the course of the last, I guess maybe 5 years, it doesn't allow me to get completely off track. So the motivation for me is I want to stay as close to my path as I possibly can, right? And it's also the motivation is that it makes me more mentally tough every time I do it. And therefore that makes me stronger in other areas of my life, whether it's as a father, a husband, a Christian, whatever it may be. The more mentally tough I am, the more things I can endure when it comes to those other aspects of my life. So to answer your question, there were definitely times where I was laying in bed, right? 3:15 a.m. alarm goes off and I'm laying in bed. I was like, why am I doing this? I do not want to get up. But that's where the discipline comes into play. And like Don said, New Year's resolutions usually lack, or they usually fail because of the motivation. So that first 3, 4, 5 days, you're super motivated. And let's be honest, most of people's resolution is, I want to lose weight. I want to get in shape, right? I want to eat better. And so those first 4 or 5 days, you're like, this is great. I'm going to do it. And then the motivation fades. And you're like, oh man, well, your coworkers Friday rolls around. Hey, let's go to happy hour. Well, I'm supposed to go to the gym. All right, I'll go to happy hour. I'll go tomorrow, whatever. I'll go to the gym tomorrow. So yeah, I mean, the motivation definitely fades. It comes in and out. For me, there's definitely, during my prep, I would say probably I was different than some people when I was talking to other people during their prep. About 3 weeks out is when I would really get super locked in, knowing that the show is coming up soon and knowing I could see the finish line. For a lot of people that I talked to, and I'm not saying that I'm special or anything, I was just different. My mindset was a little different. They were saying 3 weeks out is when they really lost their motivation, right? They were like, 3 more weeks of this, like I'm really dying. My calories are low. My cardio is super high. I can't do this anymore. For me, that lack of motivation came more so like 8 weeks out, 12 weeks out, maybe 10-ish, something like that. And just like, because you've been doing it for so long and you still have a long way to go. And you're just like, man, this is really tough. Like I'm missing my family, we can't go out to dinners and things like that at that point. But once you continue to grind it out, right? And so at that point, at 10 weeks out, I've been grinding it out for 3-4 months. Once you continue to grind it, and like I said, you get to that 3 week and the finish line's coming up and you're like, you know what, it's time to go pedal to the metal. I'm pushing all cylinders go here. And I'm going to try to just do everything I possibly can to get to my best possible look as I can as a competitor, right? So try to get to the best possible physique as I possibly can. And so that means, like, if you're a New Year's person and you say this year, 2026, I want to lose 25 pounds, that's great, right? However, you need to have a plan, right? And so if you're like, I'm just going to lose the weight, well, how are you going to do that, right? And so my suggestion is, like, you need to figure out, what do you need to do? Research it beforehand. Start in December and say, hey, if you are going to start January 1, that's fine. But December 1st, start researching, what do I need to do, right? Start figuring out, how am I going to meal prep, right? When am I going to be able to go work out? And the problem is a lot of times people want to add something in, but they're not taking anything out. And so if they're like, hey, I'm going to add in an hour of exercise Monday through Friday, okay, well, where's that hour going to go? Where's it going to come from, right? So if you are say you work 8 to 5, okay, well, when are you going to get that hour in? Are you going to go before work? Are you going to go after work? And then if somebody says, hey, let's go get some drinks or something on Wednesday after work, okay, well, that's your workout time. So how are you going to respond to that, right? Are you going to say, I can't, it's on my calendar already, I got to go work out on Wednesday at 5:30 to 6:30? Or are you you're going to sway a little bit, you're going to veer off track, and you're going to go get those drinks and those appetizers or whatnot with your friends, which is fine. But you got to make sure that you're staying on course of your plan. So if Wednesdays, Thursdays, Fridays, whatever day it is that you guys go out for, an hour or two after work, that's fine. We need to build that into your plan. You need to know that that's going to happen, because if you don't account for those things, that's how you're going to fail. And I mean, you can look up the statistics, but 90% of people who make some sort of resolution, they're going to fail. And most are going to fail within those first 3 to 4 weeks. Half of the people are going to quit by February 1st. So that means that now what? Are you just mailing it all in until 2027? Are you just saying it's a lost year? You've got 11 months left, right? You're going to give it all up because of one bad month? No, it's the same thing you tell anyone when it comes to fitness and exercise and nutrition, right? If you have a bad weekend, say Saturday, Sunday, you got you got barbecues or you got parties or whatnot, holiday parties, and you just really went off the rails and you had the pizza and you had the dips and you had the cakes and the cookies and whatnot. Come Monday, are you going to be like, well, Sunday was horrible, I might as well no, you get your butt back on track, right? You eat your regular food, You get back in the gym, you do your thing. I've done it this holiday season with my family. But I know that when the next day comes, I'm going to get myself back on track as best as I possibly can. So the motivation, yeah, it's great to have, but it's going to come and go. For me, it was ebb and flow, man. Wednesday, I'd wake up and I was ready to go, man. I was hopping out of bed. And then Thursday morning, man, it took me an extra 5 minutes to get out of bed, but I did it, but the motivation wasn't there. So like Don was saying, yeah, I mean, motivation, do you question it? For sure, it's going to happen. But the big thing is that you need to make sure that you have that goal. And so you can see that goal in your mind. And so if it's a different you, if it's a different way you look physically, if it's a different way you feel mentally, have that goal so that you know when the motivation fails, you can go to your goal and continue on with your plan that hopefully you've written out or that you've created to reach.
Yeah, make sure you know that where you're going. You can't hit a target you don't have.
I think I talked around it, but
no, that's fine. That's fine. You got it. I think you basically said this: results don't care about your feelings.
yeah.
You can't be moved by your feelings. So Corey, what happens whenever you try to negotiate in your prep? So
yeah,
man, what happens whenever you try to negotiate?
So that's the thing is you can't negotiate. I mean, it definitely enters your mind, but then you got to shut that down pretty quick. And I think it'd be the same way with the 40-day fix. It's the same way if you've got a big goal that you want to meet, whether it's weight loss or exercise for the whole year. If you try to negotiate, you've got to be mentally tough enough to shut that down pretty quick. Because if you allow those thoughts to creep in, then as you just read, those thoughts are going to become actions, right? Emotions and things like that. And so you're going to act on those thoughts. And so let's say for a show prep, if I'm like, man, I've got 12 weeks, I can go out and have some pizza. I can go out and do this. I can take the weekend off and just kind of do what I want to do. But then that spills over into Monday and then into a Tuesday. And then before you know it, you've been off track for 2 weeks. And now you really have done some damage as far as meeting your goal. Okay. And so I think that the ability to negotiate with yourself, you need to know when that begins so you can shut it down right away. With a 40-day fix, right, you've got 40 days. So that's got to be your first thing in your mind, right? If day 14, you're starting to, I don't know about, shut it down because you got 16 more days, right? Or 26 more days, you can do it, right? And so just think at the end of 40 days, see how you feel, see how you look. And then hopefully you're like, I'm going to keep going with this. Right. And so that's the big thing is that you got to think about what are you ultimately working towards? Is that negotiation really is it going to matter in the end? Is it going to make you feel better at the moment? Yes. That instant gratification, probably. No. But then at the end of the day, at the end of the line, at the end of the goal, it's going to only make it harder for you to reach your goal. 100%. So yeah, I think the big thing is that when you have those thoughts of negotiation, you've got to be able to shut them down real quick. So you've got to always keep that goal in the forefront of your mind. And like I said, when it comes to something like the 40-day fix, you got to know that it's only 40 days. That's not very long, right? 40 days, it's less than 2 months. It's a month and a half, 5 weeks. So you got to make sure that you're mentally tough. And that's what the 40-day fix is going to do. It's going to make you mentally tough. So therefore you can then tackle a bigger goal after those 40 days. And that is the ultimate hope for Don when he made this 40-day fix is, yes, while he wants people to buy the book, he wants to be your coach. Ultimately, he wants people to be happier and healthier. And so that's what this 40-day fix is going to do. It's going to push you closer. It's going to push you in the direction of becoming happier and healthier, and creating those habits that are going to only help you achieve bigger and better goals as you progress down your journey.
Yep. New Year's resolutions fail because people trust their feelings. And you got to make a commitment. And the 40-day fix, it offers no debate. The good news is you're going to be shocked about this, Corey. In this book, you'll go to the food list on here, and you can have anything you want as long as it's on the list, which is very limited, by the way. There's not very much food on there. But the good news is you can have anything you want as long as it's on the list. But it's got protein targets for you. It's got the food list. If you're not doing the food list, it's got exercise plans, everything you need it. And also what I did was the reason why people fail is because they don't they don't take their goal seriously. They minimize their goal, and then they don't really commit. One thing you did whenever you got on stage, you paid to get on stage. And I'm not, once again, this is not about competitors, but I would like to put somebody on here, Corey, that's done more than 40 days. He's lived the lifestyle. He can do the 40 days fix. In fact, I think he's going to do it at the beginning of the year. I'm going to start the 40-day fix, by the way, January 5th. I'm going to start because I need to reset. And so anybody who's on it, who's been in shape or just wants a reset anyway, just reset, get on the 40-day fix with me. But they don't make a commitment, Corey. That's what most people do. They don't make a commitment. They're nilly-willy. And that's what you did. You made a commitment and you said, I'm going to do this show. You paid. You committed to me verbally. You paid me to be your coach. And we got there. You were invested. I find it interesting because I've helped a lot of people over the years, given a lot of free advice, done a lot of free stuff. And I want to do things free, but unfortunately, people don't value free. You invested a lot of money in your health with me personally. You spent a lot of money, and it paid volumes for you.
Yeah.
And sure. It's so funny because whenever I first started training, and I'm going to read something out of this book. When I first started training, my competitor, by the way, you guys hear the sound of that dog, man? It's a pit bull. He's mean as a snake, man. I don't like to say he's a golden doodle because it makes me feel like I'm a chick, but it's a golden doodle. Where was I talking about, Corey? What was I talking about?
Investing.
Remember? Investing yourself. Whenever I first started training myself, I hired a trainer. I trained myself for a while, but I wasn't where I wanted to be. And I spent so much money with that guy. I spent like 10 grand. And it was the best money I ever spent in my life because it held me accountable. And whenever you break through and you hit one goal, you can do that same pattern of discipline to do anything else, as long as you're committed. If you're committed, the Bible says a righteous man falls 7 times, rises again. Even if you fall down, failure is part of life. You get back up and you keep going. But I'm going to read something here because I wrote something. It's called The Contract. It's because this is a book. This is actually, I'm actually very blunt in this book. And because it's only 40 days and I said this is the fastest way to lose weight. These are bold claims. The fastest and the only way to really hold on muscle mass in a big cut. This is what this book is get as lean as you possibly can in 40 days and maintain muscle mass, which is almost impossible to do if you don't know what you're doing. That's what the claim of this book is. And in order to do it, though, I don't want people thinking they're doing it and not doing it. And so I'm very blunt and forceful on my communication. But I make people sign a contract. And the contract says, I'm done playing games with my health. If this is you, comment below. Tell me you're done playing games. I'm done playing games with my health. I draw a line. Excuses are canceled. Half effort is canceled. Comfort is canceled. I'm all in. Whenever you did a show, you were all in, Corey. This is not a mood. This is not a phase. It's not when I feel like it. This is my contract, my pledge. I understand pleasure doesn't bring happiness. Victory does. I will discipline my mouth. I eat what builds, not what destroys. I'll discipline my body. I'll obey its orders, not its cravings. I discipline my time. Screens and slackers don't ruin my schedule. I don't run my schedule. I do. If the plan calls for 6 workouts, I'll crush 6. If it calls for more sweat, I don't make an excuse. I'll sweat more. Discipline doesn't negotiate. And so, and this plan, by the way, I'm not going to tell people they got to work out 6 times a week. I've got 3 plans in here because I tried to make this as tough as it is. I tried to make it meet anybody's lifestyle where they're at because it's for everybody, anybody. I've got plans in here. It's only if you can only do 3 days a week because 3 days a week is better than no days a week. And that's what people do a lot of times, Corey. They think it's all or nothing. Yeah. Well, this book is hard enough. You don't have to make it harder than it already is. But the key to this book is discipline. If you're not disciplined, you can plan on a life of a destiny full of misery. Because if you're hard on yourself, life will be infinitely easier on yourself, or on you rather. Okay, Corey, I got a question for you. What happens whenever a competitor breaks the contract? What it would happen if you're not with the contract with yourself? You got stage, you got to be on stage a certain time. You made this commitment. what are you going to look like on stage if you decide to negotiate and you break the contracts you have with yourself? Are you going to like the way you look, Corey?
Absolutely not.
Exactly.
Exactly. I mean, that's the thing is like, you've got to, I mean, I don't want to keep making it about like what I did, because I want to
yes, you're drawing from personal experience. So that's fine.
But
do it.
I want to try to make it as relatable for anybody else as I possibly can, because I love seeing people begin and continue fitness and nutrition journeys. Like I love seeing that. I love seeing it. People don't even know, right? You see on social media, like, people will post their videos, those time lapse of how they lost 60 pounds or whatever it may be. I love seeing those things because I love seeing people get healthy, because I'm so sick and tired of seeing just unhealthy people in our country. And I mean, so obviously people make their own choices, but the fact is that like society does not make it easy to be healthy, right? They make it very easy to be unhealthy, which is the problem. Unhealthy food is cheaper, right? Convenient food is unhealthy. And so people think that, well, I'm too busy to do certain things, or I'm too busy to do that. And so they're like, I just can't, I can't do it. But the best investment you're ever going to make is in yourself, right? And so to sign, quote unquote, sign, right, theoretically, a contract for yourself is the best thing that you can possibly do. And so for me, I constantly figure out ways to make sure that I can stay on track, on my plan, within my contract, as Don would say, right? And so, for example, I've talked about my boys a lot, right? I've got two young boys, 7 and 4. And so we're going to Disney World for the first time in March. And so I've never been, so I'm pretty excited myself. But anyway, they're super excited. But my wife knows. So we had this lady that helped us plan it, right? And and Disney has these people, and they do it for free, right? And they probably make a cut off whatever you spend for your trip. Anyway, so she told the lady, she goes, okay, well, whatever resort or hotel we're staying at needs to have a fitness center. She does that. She told them that without even talking, because she knows that I'm going to have someplace I can go and I can work out while we're there. And so she got back and said, well, I've never had that request before, right? I've never had someone say I need a fitness center.
That's awesome.
I don't know how many resorts or hotels there are in Disney. I would say there's got to be at least a dozen, right? I don't know. Out of all of them, only 2 have fitness centers. So obviously she picked one of those 2. But that's also a problem, right? Now I get it, Disney, right? You're walking 25,000 steps a day. I've had people say, oh, I can't believe that you think you're going to need a fitness center with how much you're going to be walking. I go, I can't believe that you don't understand how important working out is to me. Like, I will 100% be in there every day, either when we get back or before in the morning. I'll wake up at 5 a.m. I don't care. Anyway, so that's the thing is there's only 2. So if you're not staying at one of those 2 resorts, which they also, again, I'm just throwing out there, are the 2 that have fitness centers are the most expensive ones you can stay at, which is also a problem. So if you're going and you're planning on a budget, which a lot of people are, because Disney's very expensive, more expensive than I would have ever imagined, and you're staying at one of the lesser resorts, then you don't have access to one of those places to go work out. But I get it. You're like, you're going to Disney World, you're walking 20,000 steps a day. That's great. You're getting a ton of cardio in, things like that. But a whole week, you're going to come off of your plan, right? You're veering off track. And so, yeah, I mean, I've done it before where when my wife and I traveled to Europe a couple summers ago, which, believe it or not, there's not a whole lot of places in Europe to work out, not a whole lot of gyms. So I brought some bands and things with me. And I would do a 20, 25 minute band workout in the morning, right? Doing something because I knew that I needed to stay on track. And that's, again, still walking 20,000 steps a day, which is great. But again, once you break your contract or once you start to negotiate it, right, after you've already signed it, it's going to be a lot easier for you just to quit, right? It should be a lot easier for you just to quit. And so, I'll say for me, again, personal experience, I've been doing it. It's been a habit for me for so long. Quitting is not even an option. Like,
oh no,
it doesn't. And it comes with anything. Right. And so like I said, my 2 boys, like, we've tried all different sports and they love playing sports, but there have been times they were 3 or 4 years old. Like, I don't want to do soccer anymore. And I said, listen, we started this, you will finish it. And then we can talk about if you want to do soccer again. But we are not going to quit. We are not going to just stop showing up. You're going to finish this. because I feel like that is something that telling them that at 3 and 4 years old and instilling it and making it a staple in their mind, that as they get older and they decide to start on the fitness journey, quitting will not be an option.
Yep.
They will have to fulfill and finish what it is that they start. And so that's the big thing. I think that's important. And that's why I continue to do what I do as well, to try to show them how you should go about things.
Well, you create habits. I mean, that's what this whole thing, and in the chain of destiny I did, you got habits, and the character's a major character in your head. Obviously, that's the reason why you'll be in shape your whole life. That's the reason why your kids will. But I think the main reason why the main thing people are missing in their life is consequences, because consequences are delayed. People don't think they happen. You know, for a long time, people never did think that smoking cigarettes cause cancer, right?
Yeah.
And then I don't think it causes emphysema. Oh yeah, it does. And we understand that. But whenever consequences are delayed, people don't think that they're going to face them. And what's amazing, Corey, is this is what blows my mind about how success is. Actually, it's much easier to succeed than to fail. And that's so why. So it's so weird that it's so elusive, because what I just said is a fact. It's much easier to succeed than to fail, and success shows up faster than failure does.
Yeah.
But people don't recognize it because it doesn't give you instant gratification.
Exactly.
You know, you get on the scale every day. It doesn't seem like it's moving.
Yeah.
But most people, it takes them, 20 years to gain the weight that they have on their body. They don't gain it in 1 year. They don't gain it in a week. They don't gain it in a month. And so if you wanted to lose 100 pounds, and you don't have to lose 100 pounds, but if you want to lose 100 pounds, and I said it's going to take you 2 years, it took you 10 years to put on, but you think 2 years is a short period of time. And a lot of people, most of the people I train are about 50 pounds or less, but I train everybody, but 50 pounds or less is my sweet spot. And it took them, they haven't worked out a day in their life. Some people that they started, they're 40 years old, and they're like, I want to lose 50 pounds in 10 weeks. Good luck. It's not going to happen. That's 5 pounds a week. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
But it does show up, and it's going to show up way faster than anybody else. You just got to get past the cravings. You got to get past the dopamine, because people are fighting these dopamine hits from all the crap that we're eating. And that's the reason why I get on this book. You do this 40 days and it's going to kill. You're eating nothing but God's food. You're drinking protein shakes, and it's going to kill that dopamine. It's going to frame you. It's going to put you in a border. Like Corey said this about his kids. He makes them finish what they start. If you finish what you started, this is going to be the framework you succeed from. It's got a food list, it's got protein parameters, and you do this, you'll have great success. Just like Corey and his kids, he made them finish what they start, but in the future, it's going to lead to lots of success for them, because most people never finish what they start. But repetition dulls dopamine, and that's one of the. I think I've talked even about the nucleus accumbens in this book. Not, but I do talk about addiction and stuff like, and a lot of stuff like that. But simplicity. This book is simple. It's not hard. The only reason why it is hard, because it's difficult on your emotions. It's like, oh man, this is so hard. I was just talking to my sister yesterday. By the way, I'm not doing a good job selling it. You know what I'm saying? Not at all. It's hard. I was just talking to my sister yesterday. She said, oh my God, that was so hard. She did it. And she said it was so hard. She's thinking about doing it again this year because it made her feel so good. But she didn't underestimate what it is. I want everybody. Read the book. If you don't do it, you don't have to do it. But if you read the book, you're going to get so many great nuggets. And if you just apply some of the nuggets in there, you're going to end up in a better place than you did. Anyway, if New Year's resolutions worked, we would never have to do them again. I've done lots of New Year's resolutions, and guess how many of them I actually stuck with? Probably less than 0. I don't do that anymore, just like you do. I am starting something January 4th or 5th or whatever. It's not because of New Year's resolution. It's a reset. Everybody needs a reset every time. Then, Corey, you got to reset certain things in your life occasionally. And so if you're looking for a reset, if you don't know anything about nutrition, I do. Corey does as well. But the 40-day fix is the answer to motivation, because it doesn't motivate you. It trains you. I'm not a motivational guy. I'm not a motivational speaker. I like action over, talk, even though I like to talk a lot, by the way. But this book is amazing. I want you to read the book. Corey, I can't wait for you to read it. I know you ordered it. I thank you so much.
I did. Sitting here this afternoon. Yeah.
Oh, good. You'll like it.
Yeah.
But by the way, point to that book, The 40-Day Fix, up there again. Corey, would you like to say anything? By the way, if you want to buy that book today, unless you're stupid, then don't buy it. But if you're smart,
I would
buy
say,
it.
like, yeah, if your goal is to lose weight, get in shape, transform your mind to be able to finish what you start or be able to fulfill a goal, have a plan. I can tell you right now, if you want someone to help you with that plan, Don's the man. A fitness coach of some kind. If you're going to hire someone else, that's fine. Just make sure that you want to do your research on them, right? Make sure that there's someone that's actually going to help you do something. Don't just find some influencer that says they can have you lose 50 pounds in 30 days and keep it off, because that's not true. But if you want to get in better shape, if you want to get healthier, I suggest hire a coach for a month or two. Don would be a great option, and he'll get you where you need to be.
Yeah. By the way, don't hire a coach that promises insane results with little effort. That's delusional. And it's not that hard, but it's harder than what most people think. But it's not hard. It's mainly just discipline. It's doing the thing consistently. You'll talk yourself out of results. You don't have to work out to failure every set. You don't have to run a mile or 10 miles every day. You just got to be consistent. If you're consistent, you'll lead to a major breakthrough. It's funny. I was talking to a client of mine, Corey, because I train lots of people. This guy's in insane shape. And almost every workout, I go to failure on most of my sets. I go to failure a lot on my sets. And this guy built a great body. And I told him to go to muscle failure on at least the last set of every exercise. I got it in the notes. This guy built a great physique. He's ripped to the gills. Shredded, competitor. He said, I made him a new workout. We were talking on the phone, and I said, hey, you're going to do some rest pauses. And this is for no one else. Everybody else get off. Me and Corey are talking, and I'll finish this up. But he was doing some rest pauses, which is a 15-second break, and then doing the same weight again. And then he was doing some forced reps. He said, I've never done that before. He was working out to about 60 to 70% of his max at the most ever, and never going to failure, and built a great physique. Because it's consistency, Corey. The principles of consistency work, even if you're going through the motions, maybe not going 100% every time, which I'm sure you do go 100% every time. If you're just going through the motions and eating the right foods, it's going to lead to some great success. Anyway, sorry about all that. That was extra. I wish I could delete that, but I didn't. I might delete it because there's no reason to talk meander and roam for a while, but this is who I am. Anyway, thank you guys so much for listening. If this helped you in any way, shape, or form, please share it. Please subscribe. Show notes below is where you get the link to my book, and also you can follow me and Corey. Thank you so much, Corey. If you want to put a bow on this, you can, because I don't even know why I said all that crap, but I did.
No, I think it's great, and I hope everyone has a good new year. And if you got goals that you're trying to meet, make sure you got a plan.
That's right. Thanks, Corey.